It always starts quietly, doesn't it? That tiny ache in the chest you can't explain. The one that appears right before you decide to post a picture of yourself. Your finger hovers over the button. Your eyes stare at your own face on the screen. And suddenly, without any warning, your whole soul whispers, "No, don't." And you delete it. If you're an INFJ, you're all too familiar with that whisper. It's not mere hesitation, but a profound sense of sorrow. Your heart recoils as if warning you away from a perilous path, even when it's just an image on a screen, a fleeting moment amidst the endless scroll of forgetfulness. And yet, the weight is crushing. It's the vulnerability of being exposed, of standing before the world unprotected, stripped bare of your defenses. Most people don't understand this. They think INFJs are mysterious because they want to be. They think INFJs don't post photos because it's an aesthetic choice or some kind of enigmatic persona. But the truth is so much softer, sadder, and more human than that. And if you're here listening or reading, I want you to stay till the end because you will see yourself in every line. And comment "I'm here" or "I feel this" as early as you can, because someone like you might need to see that they're not alone. You see, INFJs don't avoid posting because they feel superior. They avoid it because they feel seen. Not the good kind of seen where your soul is understood, but the painful kind where your identity becomes vulnerable. Psychologists call this self-discrepancy theory, where the way you think you look, the way you feel you look, and the way you fear others will judge how you look, crash into each other like three fragile walls collapsing. Most people shrug it off. But for INFJs, who process emotion deeply and privately, that collision isn't mild discomfort, it's a storm. There's a well-known psychological finding by Tori Higgins, who developed the self-discrepancy framework. He explained that when your actual self clashes too harshly with your ought self, your brain goes into emotional overdrive. INFJs live in that space constantly. They feel the gap so intensely that posting a simple photo turns into a battle between who I really am, who I want to be, and who others might think I am. And the emotional overload is real. But let's go deeper. Imagine an INFJ girl, maybe early 20s. She opens her gallery. She finds a picture she actually likes. Her friends say she looks beautiful. She even believes it for a moment. She edits it lightly, not to deceive, but to soften. Because INFJs always soften things. Words, voices, emotions, truths, so they don't hurt others. She uploads it. Her thumb reaches the post button, and then her chest tightens, her breath shortens, her stomach twists, and her soul whispers, "Don't give them access to you." Delete. Why? Because INFJs are not afraid of judgment. They're afraid of misunderstanding. They're afraid someone will see the picture, scroll past, and form an idea about them that is shallow, inaccurate, or incomplete. And INFJs hate incomplete anything, especially incomplete versions of themselves. There's a psychological concept called identity ambiguity, often observed in individuals with complex internal worlds. In one study on introverted intuitive types, researchers found that people with strong introspective tendencies experience distress when others form quick, surface-level impressions of them. It feels like losing control over their narrative. INFJs feel this more than any type, because for an INFJ, identity isn't something to display, it's something to protect. And here's the saddest part. INFJs don't post pictures because deep down, they rarely feel real in them. They see their own face and think, this doesn't show who I am, this doesn't show what I feel, this doesn't show the storms inside me. They don't want to be misunderstood as pretty, cute, cool, or even confident. They want people to see the emotions, the soul, the depth. But a photo can never hold that. So they withdraw, not because they want to hide, but because they feel unrepresented. There's another layer one psychologists associate with high empathy individuals. When highly empathetic people sense the emotional environment around them, they tend to internalize it. INFJs experience something called anticipatory emotional processing. Before they post a photo, they automatically imagine how others might feel when they see it: jealousy, indifference, curiosity, judgment. And INFJs hate causing any emotional disturbance, no matter how small. They hate being the center of anything. So instead of posting, they retreat. They protect others from the emotional ripple, and they protect themselves from emotional exhaustion. But the real story, the one no one talks about, is this: INFJs have been hurt before. Maybe it was a comment about their appearance long ago. Maybe someone compared them, mocked them, ignored them, overlooked them. It doesn't take much to scar an INFJ. A single insensitive sentence from the past can echo for years. So every time they think of posting a photo, that old wound opens quietly, silent trauma resurfacing in pixels. Sometimes it's not even trauma. It's the INFJ's absurd level of self-awareness. They notice every tiny imperfection, not out of vanity, but out of sensitivity. The same sensitivity that lets them see good in broken people also makes them painfully aware of their own fragility. They can feel every flaw like a bruise. And the world doesn't deserve their vulnerability. At least that's what they tell themselves. There's a moment every INFJ knows. You see a photo of someone else smiling, confidently, carefree, flawless, and you think, why can't I be that normal? Why can't I just post without overthinking? But INFJs don't do carefree. They feel too much. They think too deeply. They reflect too endlessly. In 2018, a social psychology study described a phenomenon called empathic inhibition, where individuals with high emotional sensitivity inhibit public self-expression to avoid inner overwhelm. Reading that research hit home for INFJs. It made sense because they're not hiding out of fear, but their feelings are so deep and complicated that social media just can't keep up. Plus, INFJs worry about something not many people consider. The internet never forgets. Once you post a picture, it's there forever, even if you try to erase it. Someone could have looked at it, kept it, or judged you. And INFJs really dislike that they can't control what happens to these online pieces of themselves. It's like leaving a part of you somewhere you can't get back to, and that's unsettling for them. INFJs often feel anxious about sharing online because they know that once something is posted, it can be hard to take back. Even if they delete a photo, people might have already seen it, taken a screenshot, or formed an opinion. This can make INFJs nervous as they can't control how others perceive them or what they do with the content. It's like sending a message in a bottle, not knowing where it'll end up or who'll read it. This fear is not paranoia, it's emotional caution. It's the same reason they open up only to one or two people in their entire life, the same reason they don't speak, unless their soul feels safe, the same reason they can love someone silently for years without saying a word. Posting a photo is not a small act for an INFJ. It's an emotional risk, a loss of control, a surrender of privacy, a doorway to misunderstanding. And INFJs, these old souls wrapped in fragile skin, don't survive well in places where people judge quickly and care slowly. But let me tell you something heartbreaking. INFJs often want to post. They want to be seen. They want someone to understand their beauty, their pain, their character, but they can't make their heart believe that the world will handle their vulnerability gently, so they stay quiet, invisible, observing from the shadows. Sometimes they stare at their camera roll at 2 a.m. thinking, maybe someday, maybe when I feel stronger, maybe when someone actually sees me, but that day rarely comes, and that's okay. Because INFJs don't need validation. They need connection, not likes, not views, not cute pic. They need depth, warmth, safety. And social media rarely gives that. And maybe, just maybe you reading this right now, you feel that ache too, that quiet pain, that feeling of being unseen and yet terrified of being seen too much. If you're an INFJ or if this touched you in any way, comment "I'm here" or "this is me" as early as possible. Not for engagement, not for numbers, but because someone like you, someone who feels this deeply, might scroll down and realize they're not alone in their invisible struggle. INFJs don't post pictures because they are not living for the surface. They are living for the soul, for meaning, for truth, for connection, and until they find the place where their heart feels safe, they will continue choosing silence over exposure, even if that silence hurts. And if you're listening to this, remember one thing. Your face is not your identity. Your beauty is not your photo. Your value is not your social media presence. Your depth is your gift. Your sensitivity is your strength. Your quiet soul is your power. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, You will look at a picture of yourself and finally say, "This feels like me." And when that day comes, you won't post for validation. You'll post because you're finally free.